Welcome to the Explainer. So today we're looking at something that affects honestly almost every single one of us, usually without us even realizing it's happening. We live in an era that's completely defined by hustle culture, right? We're constantly told to grind, to push harder, to carve out our own destinies. But there's a really profound tension hidden inside that modern narrative. On one hand, you have this exhausting, endless pursuit of self-reliance, and on the other, there's a deep, often totally unmet craving for true contentment and peace. So how do we actually bridge that gap? Well, the source material we're exploring today offers a totally fascinating roadmap, and it moves us from the anxiety of entitlement straight into the profound peace of gratitude.
Okay, let's dive into this. Did you truly earn all your success? It sounds almost a little abrasive to even ask, doesn't it? But it challenges this universally accepted modern norm, the idea that we, and we alone, are the absolute sole architects of our victories. If we get the job, if we buy the house, if we hit that big milestone, society tells us it's because we built it entirely with our own two hands. But as you'll see, believing that unquestioningly might actually be the exact thing robbing us of our joy. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to look at the entitlement trap, how to catch the credit thief, and why we need to value process over outcome. Then we'll shift into the gift mentality, redefine true success, and finally, lock it all in with a daily mindset shift. Think of this as a really practical, step-by-step framework to move away from exhausting self-reliance and towards a state of peaceful, healthy dependence.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the entitlement trap. We're beginning our analysis with a super profound psychological observation about human nature, and it's actually drawn from a surprisingly ancient text. The source grounds its framework in this quote from Surfu Salat. It says, "When we give him a taste of some of our mercy after some adversity has touched him, he is sure to say, 'This is my due.'" While it's framed around a theological concept, the psychological lesson here just perfectly illustrates the innate human illusion of the earned reward. Notice the pattern here. We face a hardship, we get some relief or success, and immediately our human reflex is to say, "I totally deserve this. This is my due." We instantly, almost automatically, rewrite history to make ourselves the lone hero of the story. Moving right along to Section 2, catching the credit thief. So once we recognize that reflex, how do we actually catch that internal voice claiming all the glory? Well, the text defines this psychological trap as self-justification. I want you to think of self-justification as a sneaky little credit thief living right inside your head. Whenever something good happens, you land a big client, you finish a marathon, or even if you just have a really peaceful morning, the credit thief whispers, "Yep, this is all because of me. I worked for this." It constantly steals the credit away from the larger systems, the people around you, and external forces, basically convincing you that you're this completely self-sustaining island. To defeat this credit thief, the source suggests we need to audit our attribution. Seriously, the next time you achieve something, I want you to literally hit pause. Ask yourself honestly, did I earn this completely 100% on my own, or was this a combination of my effort, which is real, sure, but maybe also a lucky break, an opportunity somebody else handed me, a baseline of physical health that I didn't somehow manufacture? Consciously interrupting that automatic thought process is absolutely crucial. It's the very first step toward dismantling that entitlement trap. Let's move to and see how this builds straight into Section 3, process over outcome. If we don't catch that credit thief, we fall into a really dangerous secondary trap, complacency. And this brilliantly illustrates the danger. If we just sit back, firmly believing we've earned our current state, we subtly stop striving and we just start expecting. We start thinking, you know what? I've paid my dues. Now life owes me. But look at the much healthier approach, working with a deep, genuine commitment to the process itself. You see, the text warns us that believing you're simply owed a reward turns your relationship with work, and honestly with life in general, into a purely transactional and ultimately super disappointing experience. So, how do we stay out of that transactional mindset? The source lays out 3 solid steps. First up, maintain a growth mindset, but with a safety net. This absolutely does not mean you stop working hard. Instead, you change why you work hard. Second, stop trying to forcefully engineer outcomes just to prove your worth. And third, focus your daily energy purely on the quality of your effort. You control the process, you do not control the outcome. Let the outcome be whatever it's going to be while you stay fully engaged in the actual joy of the work itself. That brings us to Section 4, the gift mentality. This right here is really the central pivot of our entire explainer. This is where we replace that heavy, exhausting entitlement with something so much lighter. The source contrasts these two internal monologues, the whisper versus the truth.
The whisper of entitlement says, "This is my due. I paid for this." But the truth, the healthier mindset says, "This is a gift." Just think about the emotional weight of those two phrases for a second. If everything is a transaction that you paid for, you're living in constant anxiety, always checking the receipt, always wondering if you're getting shortchanged. But if you intentionally reframe your daily blessings, like a supportive friend, a good cup of coffee, or just a moment of peace, as gifts you are simply receiving, your emotional state instantly shifts. You go from anxious striving straight into relaxed appreciation. So the crucial point is this: accept that you are not the sole architect of your destiny. The source material talks a lot about the power of feeling not worthy. Now, normally we think of feeling unworthy as this super negative, toxic thing, right? But in this context, it's actually liberating. It is the profound relief of realizing you don't have to carry the literal weight of the world on your shoulders. Accepting that you aren't the sole architect reduces your anxiety, it kicks the door wide open for genuine humility, and it builds a rock-solid foundation for lasting contentment.
Now, let's look at Section 5, redefining true success. Once you adopt this GIST mentality, it completely changes your fundamental relationship with the world and with your own capabilities. The text introduces this awesome concept called healthy dependence. Now, in our hyper-individualistic society, dependence is kind of seen as a dirty word. We automatically equate it with weakness. But the source reframes this beautifully. Healthy dependence is actually a strategic strength. It is the vital, mature skill of knowing when and exactly how to surrender control. It's knowing when to ask for help, when to accept a setback, and when to just trust that there's a larger system or plan at work well beyond your immediate exhausting need to micromanage the entire universe.
When you embrace that healthy dependence, you kind of have to redefine success entirely. If success is just some fleeting trophy, it's inevitably going to cause anxiety, because eventually you'll lose those things or somebody else is going to outachieve you. But look at the resilient mindset here. True success, according to this framework, is redefined as your ability to respond gracefully to whatever life throws at you. Whether you're responding with gratitude in the good times or real resilience in the bad times, success becomes this sustainable, untouchable internal state. It's a real game changer.
Finally, let's bring it home with Section 6, your daily mindset shift. High-level mindset concepts are great and all, but how do we actually implement this stuff starting right now? Well, let's walk through this actionable framework. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it translates everything into practical daily habits. First, when you catch yourself falling into the trap of self-justification, thinking, "I earned this," the shift is humility. Your daily action? Next time you succeed, consciously hit pause and just acknowledge the help you received. Second, if you're feeling entitlement, expecting rewards, shift over to gratitude. Maybe try a daily 3 good things exercise, but focus on what you received today, not just what you achieved. Third, if complacency is creeping in, shift to sustainable effort. Try to reconnect your daily tasks to a larger purpose, rather than just treating them like a checklist. And finally, when you feel that suffocating grip of self-reliance, shift to healthy dependence. Which leads us perfectly to our final thought. What is one outcome you can let go of controlling today? I want you to identify just one area, right now, where you can practice healthy dependence. Surrender the need to force the result, trust the process, and recognize the gifts you've already been given. Honestly, it might just be the most freeing thing you do all day. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.